Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into a really cool idea. What if all those hours we've spent glued to a screen, what if they weren't a waste of time at all? What if they were actually one of the best training grounds for success in the real world? Let's get into it.
Okay, so we're starting with the big one. This is the question that's probably started a million arguments, right? But for today, let's just park that old debate. We're going to explore this growing idea that for a whole lot of people, these games are way more than just a hobby.
The first thing we got to do is kind of shift how we think about these games. We're not just talking about entertainment. No, think of a game like Dota2 as this incredibly complex, always changing puzzle. It's a high-stakes problem with a ton of different variables. And there's never just one right answer. And that's where the real training kicks in. And you know where that training starts? It starts in a place every single player knows really well, whether you're a total beginner or a seasoned pro. It starts with facing defeat. This is the fire, the crucible, where our very first skill gets forged.
And that skill is resilience. Now, the official definition is all about bouncing back from tough situations. But in gaming, it's literally the core mechanic of getting better. You lose, you get knocked down, and then you have a choice. You either quit or you get back up and figure out how to do it better next time.
Now check this out. This is how gamers talk about resilience, and it's absolutely fascinating. This quote might just look like a bunch of jargon, but it's pure philosophy. So in Dota 2, 0/20 means you are getting crushed. I mean, you've been defeated 20 times without getting a single kill. It's a disaster. But 6-slotted means your character is completely maxed out with the best items in the game. So what this is really saying is that even the player who is failing spectacularly can, with enough time and persistence, reach their absolute peak potential and carry the team to victory. It's the ultimate comeback story, and it's built right into the game's DNA.
So here's the really powerful mental shift that happens. You learn that one bad game, or one bad meeting, or one bad interview, it doesn't have to define what happens next. You learn to let go of that weight. Every new match is a clean slate. It's a brand new chance to take what you've learned and get a totally different result.
All right, let's build on that, because it's one thing to learn how to manage your own failures, right? It's a whole other ballgame when you're trying to lead a team of total strangers through absolute chaos. And honestly, this quote just says it all. Imagine the pressure cooker of an online game. You've got different personalities, different skill levels, people who don't even speak the same language. If you can get that group to work together, you can lead pretty much any team anywhere. It's one of the best leadership boot camps on the planet. And if you break it down, look what those skills actually are. Sound familiar? You've got preparation, clear communication, coordination, and then analyzing what happened afterward. These aren't just tricks to win a game. These are the fundamental pillars of any successful team, whether they're in an office building or in a virtual arena. But you know, even if you've got resilience down and you're a great teammate, there's still one opponent left, and they're the hardest one to beat. It's that voice inside your own head. In gaming, there's a word for it when you let frustration take over and you start playing worse. It's called tilt. And this next part is all about mastering that internal opponent. So anytime you fail, in a game or in life, you come to this fork in the road, and you have a choice. Path number one is easy. It's the blame game. It's my team's fault. It's impossible. They were just lucky. That's tilt. But then there's the other path. It's harder, for sure, but it's the only one that actually leads to growth. It's all about looking inward and taking ownership of your own actions. And this right here, this is maybe one of the most powerful lessons players talk about. The second you stop obsessing over stuff you can't control, like your teammates' mistakes, and you start focusing on the one thing you can control, your own performance, that's the exact moment you start getting better. And like this player says, that's a mindset that can honestly change your life.
And what all this builds is something we can call an improvement mindset. It's basically a framework for learning that's built on 4 key ideas. You got to be honest with yourself about where you're at. You got to be humble enough to actually listen to feedback. You need to be resourceful and go find answers. And at the end of the day, you have to believe that putting in the work, dedicated practice, will lead to real improvement. It's a mindset that just crushes things like imposter syndrome and the fear of failure.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. We've seen how games can build resilience, how they teach teamwork, and how they forge a growth mindset. But the big question remains, does any of this stuff actually translate from the screen into the real world? Well, the answer from players is a huge, resounding yes. I mean, this isn't just a fun little theory. You have people who have poured thousands of hours into games like Dota 2 who will tell you straight up that they owe their career success to what they learned playing. For them, the game wasn't an escape. It was a simulator. It trained them.
They learn how to make really quick, high-stakes decisions while they're under a ton of pressure.
They learned how to completely change their strategy on a dime when the original plan just goes up in smoke.
They become absolute masters at managing limited resources. You know, whether it's gold and mana in a game or time and budget at the office.
And maybe most important of all, they're trained to see every single challenge not as some impossible wall, but as a complex problem that's just waiting for a creative, out-of-the-box solution. So we end up right back where we started, but now we're looking at it through a completely new lens. The game itself might be virtual, but the resilience, the teamwork, the mindset, believe me, those skills are very, very real. So that leaves just one final thought for you. What's the complex challenge in your life? What's your game? And what is it training you to become?